Hi, friends. We're so glad you're here. The Big Ideas podcast exists to empower the next generation of entrepreneurs. Join us for unscripted conversations while you're at home with your kids or even just driving them around to activities. We hope these short but powerful messages will give you inspiration and encouragement for your next big ideas. Welcome to the show today, guys. Oh my word, I am so pumped about our guest today, and she definitely deserves, she would probably disagree with this, but she definitely deserves an incredible welcome, incredible introduction. I will do my very best to tell you who she is, what she represents, and what she means to our family. So help me welcome Anita Favors, the founder of Jars of Clay Children's Ministry in Atlanta. She is, just to tell you the story of how we met, the short version of the story. So when Andy and I first moved to Atlanta, like over 20 years ago now, fresh out of college, we were looking for a church to plug into, looking for a church to call home. Months into that, and we've always believed fully in supporting ministry and tithing and just sowing into good fertile soil. And I literally just Googled children's shelters, and Jars of Clay came up. I did my research, I looked around, I got the scope and the just full prayerful, like, yes, this is a great fertile soil to sow into. And we planned a visit. We met Anita and we were like, oh, I think they just did more for us than we will ever do for them. They are incredible, her entire staff. And so, like I said, that's been 20 years ago now. She helped us prayerfully bring home our daughter Hannah through our adoption journey. We have gone through ups and downs with her ministry, with our businesses, with family stuff. And it's just, yes, you're the founder of an incredible ministry, just helping Atlanta and beyond. But for our family, you're just such a dear friend of ours, and we're so grateful to have you on our podcast today. I know our listeners are going to be so blessed by your words and what you're going to share today. But without further ado, Anita, why don't you say hello and give us a quick introduction of yourself?
Well, my name is Anita, and I'm kind of no fluff kind of person. I decided to do something with my extra time. I founded Jars of Clay, just kind of thinking I could help a few kids get off the streets. I could help a few kids get their GED in Atlanta. At the time, I was attending Victory World Church under Dennis and Colleen Rouse. And I told them, I know this is crazy, but I had this dream about children and jars of clay, and I just think I'm going to do this. And they're like, we've never done shelter. We don't know what shelter is. And I said, well, nor do I, but I'm just going to trust God. And I'll tell you, I started with nothing, no building, nothing. And God just brought everything together. And today, we've been around for almost 30 years. We help about 7,000 homeless teens and people a year. And we house a little over 100 of them.
Wow.
Their babies. So we just kind of help do what you do, your loving family. So we're just a loving family to those that have lost their way for a small period of time in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's incredible. Well, we're going to get into some of the meat and the potatoes of your ministry and some of the big projects you're working on. Hannah is, I didn't even mention this, but my daughter Hannah is here to join us for this podcast as well. So she's going to ask you your first question. So go ahead, Hannah.
Why is Jars of Clay so important to children today?
Well, that's a great question, Hannah. Thank you so much. I think Jars of Clay is essential. I think it's the difference between life and death. When children go down the wrong path or experience atrocities and choose to leave home or choose to run away from foster care or whatever their mode to get on the streets, when they get on the streets, everything bad can happen. And when those people unite with Jars of Clay and we just let them talk, we feed them and we just hear their heart. We try to help them like a puzzle, put the puzzle pieces together. Without Jars of Clay, they probably would get in trouble, get into crime, get depressed, use drugs, get arrested, and do some other things that are not appropriate with their body. So our goal is to be a house for those that are unhoused and love them the way their parents would love them or love them better. Love them like Jesus would.
Mm,
That's a great question. So I say we're the difference between life and death. I do believe if a parent had a child on the street or a teenager on the street, they would be blessed if we were able to find that child before somebody else would find them.
mm, yeah, absolutely. Do you have any other questions for her right now, Hannah?
That's a great question, Hannah.
Yeah. What are, Hannah, what are some of the things that we've seen at Jars of Clay when we visited them? Well, we bring toys, but I always know it's so impactful for us, not just at Christmas time, but when we've come at different times, and there's always families there. There's adults, there's children, and they all have different needs. Like you said, they're all there from different circumstances. They all have different needs.
Right.
And so, what would you say? I mean, life or death? I mean, you can't get any more black and white than that. More big picture, like what is so critical for the ministry today? Like, what are some of the projects that you've launched that help some of the immediate, like current, ongoing challenges that they're facing, that you're facing today?
Great question. Another great question. Well, again, we house homeless teenagers and their babies.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the challenges are running out of space and not having beds for those kids to occupy. And I'll be honest with you, our last couple of kids were begging just to sleep on the couch
Mm-hmm.
in the office because that was better than the streets and it was better for safety.
Mm-hmm.
So, growing so we can accommodate more. Food is an amazing, simple Christian charity that anybody can get involved and help with.
Mm-hmm.
So, providing and filling our food pantry, helping us with events and services where we have more of an overflow, especially when the weather gets colder.
Mm-hmm.
More people depend on Jars of Clay. And I'll be honest with you, it's very difficult to tell people no.
Yeah.
For 29 years, we have been one of Atlanta's premier shelters serving every person. And I never knew the family dynamics of homeless people, to be quite honest, Ashlee. I would have assumed initially it was just a woman who was fleeing a domestic violence or fleeing a relationship, and then you would get the dads who's responsible for their children, and they couldn't go to a men's shelter because it would be unsafe for them, physically, sexually, emotionally, for their children. And so then we decided to take intact families. And over the course of years, we just kind of saw the trajectory of life cycles of families that struggle with mental health and families that are chronically poor, spiritually poor, but financially poor. And a lot of people just couldn't hold the pieces together and would become homeless.
Yeah.
So many times we would see the same family 2 or 3 times in a series of years. So that's when we knew, hey, maybe we need to kind of change our structure and start dealing with children who are very, very poor, Title I, homeless, or just being moved from house to house, so we can change their lens and let them know that that's not normal. That children just deserve a stable home with stable food and stable services and stable education, stable friends. And so we kind of veered off the last year and a half to just house teens and their babies, and then provide crucial services for the community. So children who are just as poor but have a house to live in, even if they're sleeping on the floor, we would do wraparound services for those families and help the parents get better jobs, help the children understand that they do fit in, that they are important, that their lives do matter, and that they will become successful.
Yeah.
So from food, clothing, so we do everything that a regular household does. We just do it on a much bigger scale.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I love that. And I just, the impact that y'all are making, it's incredible. I mean, obviously being a part of your
Thank
ministry
you.
over the years, we've seen We've seen so much growth. I mean, like I said, every time we visit, we're like, I don't know. It might sound a little bit prideful, but like when we go there, we're like, let's go serve jars of clay. Like we're teaching our kids, like, let's go do what we can do to help. Like, to whom much is given, much is required, like all of those great life
True.
lessons. And so we show up looking to serve. And every time we leave, before we even pull out of your driveway, we're looking around. I mean, the kids are emotionally moved. We're emotionally moved every time, even if it's just for a short visit. And we're like, gosh, they do so much for us just from the way I mean, you alone are like, I'm like, I think she's got like a stunt double or two. Like there's no way she does
Always hearing
all
it.
the things that you do. I'm like, oh, it's inspiring. It's incredible. And I know,
It's not a job when you just love what you do.
yeah,
I mean, I wake up eager to serve every day, and that's just, I think I don't think, I know God created me that way.
yeah,
I mean, even today, we had two mental health cases. We had a new baby that somebody didn't want their baby. Then Fulton County Juvenile Court called us for advice for a situation. Then the Atlanta Pregnancy Center called and said, "Hey, we have this food." So, it's just the more you
mhm,
serve, the more God pours in blessings. We
yeah,
needed baby food, we needed diapers, and just out of the blue, it's like, yeah, be right there to go get those diapers. We'll send
wow,
somebody in just a second. So, yeah, it's a community of serving, and it's not about jars of clay. It's about everybody that makes these many moving parts work.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's such a testimony of what God will do when we are available. When we show up and we
Totally.
say, "Here I am, use me." I mean, just the day in the life of what you face and um, how you bless others and how you just take every situation and just let God use you and just keep going. I mean, it's like I said, it's definitely inspiring. The fruit of jars of clay is evident, and
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Thank you.
walking testimony of that. So, um, tell us about the mentorship program you guys have launched.
So again, another successful program. It changes the trajectory of children's lives. So I'm 59,
Hmm.
and I remember when I was younger, there used to be a pen pal program where others would write you and you would learn to write them, and it would encourage inclusiveness. It would encourage you.
Hmm.
So I just remembered that. So since COVID, suicide and thoughts of suicides and struggles for low income and homeless children have risen more than 43%, which is devastating.
Yeah.
Um, so I just decided to multiply our love by asking volunteers to adopt one of our teens or to adopt any of the children that were enrolled in our programs and services. So once a month or twice a month, they could reach out and just check on them and remind them that they are loved and remind them that they're created in the image of God and remind them that, bullying is not good. And so when you have that special person who's not nagging you, when you have that special person that can just listen to the deeper parts of the heart of a troubled child or a troubled teenager, and we've all been teens, we all thought we knew everything, and then we all went through the blues. Growing up is not easy, and it doesn't come with a manual. It comes with the Bible, but Satan likes to jump in there and muddy up the water sometimes. But our mentor program is called Mentor Me Atlanta, and we pair volunteers that would just love to text or email or Zoom or take a kid out once a month just to encourage their life. And it is so successful. I mean, we're building so many relationships. I'll give you a great example. One of our students went to hang out with, we call them a big, because we believe people are big when they can share beyond their household, and even though the Father God says that, it's obvious we're supposed to do it for our family, but how much more do you get a blessing when you do it for somebody else? So
Mhm.
we paired a big with one of our teens, and that family took them over to their home. And when this kid came back, she was just so emotional. And so I sat down with her and I said, "Tia, what's going on?" And she said, I don't remember sitting down and eating like that. I don't remember holding hands and praying. I don't remember that. And it's things that families take for granted that others have never had. You know, when you're poor, you're working one, two, three jobs, and you're letting your children raise themselves. You know, the TV is raising them, which is a problem. But when she came back, she was just overwhelmed with how they loved each other.
Yeah.
And she then knew that she was void of that type of love.
Wow. Yeah, and I think we'll include in our show notes, obviously a link to Jars of Clay, but the Mentor Me program as well will specifically help guide any of our listeners that want more information about that. So they can check the show notes for any of that. Yeah, I love that. And, you know, obviously we're huge into mentorship and raising up leaders in the next generation,
Absolutely.
you know, entrepreneurship. I know that's a big piece of, you know, your mission, like you mentioned at the very
Absolutely.
beginning, you know, when there's repetitive cycles that you see in the parents or the adults, then it kind of shines a light on the children, and it gives us hope, you know, that if we can help the children when they're still young and they're still available, you know, there's hope there. So, and there's hope with the adults too. I don't mean to say it's hopeless, but
Right.
yeah, I know we've
Well,
talked about that.
it's easier to mold a child than an adult. Many adults are set in their ways, but children have a different lens and they do want better.
Yeah.
You know, so if they know better, they'll grow better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we've talked about that. I know you helped or you did MC our Kids Business Day last year.
Yes, I did.
Hoping that you come back again next year, just putting you on the spot.
Would love it.
Couldn't think of a better MC. That was amazing.
Pump it up. Go ahead.
Hey friend, I wanted to take a quick pause to ask if you've taken the quiz yet to find out what type of dreamer are you. It's super important to discover what's working for you, but also some things that may be keeping you from really pursuing your greatest purpose. It takes just 2 minutes to find out if you're the skimboarder, the sunbather, the sandcastle builder, or the surfer babe. So jump over to dreamerquiz.com and be sure to share your results and tag me in it. Now back to the show. So maybe from your perspective, you know, how does teaching entrepreneurship help? I know we've kind of just gotten into it a little bit, but how does teaching entrepreneurship help, you know, with your mission, with raising the generation coming and instilling that hope, instilling the possibilities and the opportunity mindset, you know?
Absolutely. So some people believe in generational curses, some people do not. Some people believe in generational curses. Science proves, the data proves that it's true. Most of the times when I get teenagers, they're 3, 4, 5 generations of poverty. So their mindset or their lens is desperation.
Yeah.
They're always behind the curve. They don't have a strong drive. They have a dream, but the drive is usually unattainable. I'll give you a great example from last year's summer camp. Last year's summer camp, we had a lemonade stand. We built our lemonade stand from scratch, and the community just loved it.
Yeah.
And we taught the children how to make freezies, how to make frozen lemonade, how to make super cold lemonade, and how to pack it with sugar. And we taught them how to give eye-to-eye contact, to sell their product, and to know that their lemonade is better than anybody's lemonade.
Yeah.
And we rolled our lemonade stand door to door. Now, let me tell you, these are children that could not afford camp, that would stay at home if they didn't come to our camp, and probably would not have breakfast and lunch because school was not in for the summer. So many times when we would serve breakfast, kids would stuff food, not in bags or packages, but extra food, a pancake or a pancake on a stick in their pocket, knowing that they were going to be hungry later. And so the entrepreneur program that we offer every year to every child that comes into our facility, and adults, to be quite honest. So we did the ice cream stand where community members would come to us, and we did the lemonade stand where we would go to every door in our community. We did that to teach the children how to be bold in the presence of a stranger, how to ask for a donation, and how to sell a product. In the first week, we raised $200.
Wow.
So what we did with those $1 bills, we just left them on the table so people could just see them and see out of nothing you can create something. And it was a great first week of our 10 weeks of summer because one of our parents, their lights were disconnected. And we used our lemonade money to turn their lights on.
Yeah.
So you know that impacted this particular child's life forever because he earned it. So now he knows I don't have to work for somebody else. I can work for myself. Another instance, whenever we would do a yard sale, we would let the children sort the clothes, put them on our lawns, put them on the tables. Somebody would be over men's shoes, somebody would be over women's shoes, and we would ask for 50 cents or $1 or any donation per item that somebody from the community chose to get, so they would donate that money to the charity. The second week, we raised $400.
Wow.
In the $400, we were able to buy movie tickets, discounted, and the entire camp went to the movies.
Wow.
And so just teaching them, we went to the Fox Theater, we have been to the High Museum of Arts. So teaching them class and culture,
Right.
teaching them to see beyond their living community, and teaching them beyond the classroom, because classrooms don't really teach entrepreneurship, how to budget, how to make money, how to invest money. And so our 10 weeks of summer does that, and it's powerful. It's very powerful.
That's incredible. And it's going on right now, right? Your summer camps?
It starts Monday. It starts Monday.
Okay. So are you bringing
So
the lemonade
it's
stand
already
back out?
started because it's already started because we've trained our mentors and we're doing a lot of YouTube training.
Okay.
So the other children that were not sponsored could still participate with our schools.
Okay.
So every time we have a class, making slime, entrepreneurship, family life skills, how to set a dinner table, how to boil an egg, how to brush your teeth, how to do math. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We videotape the class, we put it online. So families that couldn't attend can watch the video. As long as they answer the questions, they can participate on field trips with us.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're always so creative with the reaching out and getting more people in and just pulling them in and reaching
fish
them
and
where they're
loaves,
at.
fish and loaves. You just have to try every way to let people see that Jesus is real and he can make it happen. And when the children in next week's class raise money, then they're going to actually afford other children to be able to come to camp and have a camp t-shirt and do all these great things.
Okay. That's cool. What do you think about that,
Thank
Hannah?
you.
Does that summer camp sound fun?
Yeah.
They're making slime. They're boiling eggs. Hannah just learned how to make eggs, so that's like her favorite lunch to make.
Oh, I love
Although
it.
she scrambles them, so it's a lot of yolk on the counter usually.
No, it's not.
Not too bad.
If there is, then I clean it up.
She does clean it up. Yeah.
Hannah, you should practice making popcorn. Our kids keep failing at that. We keep burning it, but I'm sure you can master that.
Yeah, I think we've mastered the popcorn, but burnt popcorn is one of the worst smells because it
It
takes
is.
forever to go away.
Cheyenne
Oh, it
sometimes
is.
does a popcorn button and it always
Yeah, there's a
does it for
popcorn
too
button,
long.
but it doesn't do it quite well for every bag. It's a little
That's
different.
correct.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of hitting on this, so let me ask you this and kind of take it in any direction. But from your perspective, we talk a lot on this podcast about using our gifts and our talents and number one, discovering them, speaking into other people to help them discover their gifts and their talents, and just being bold like you and saying, this is a gift, this is a talent. I've been given this to do something great with it, to serve others and to glorify God. And so from your perspective, what do our listeners need to know about gifts and talents from your perspective?
Well, we're going to build God's kingdom or we're going to build our own. And that's just the fact.
Mic
You're either
drop.
building for you or
Mm.
you're building for God. A lot of churches are not very outreach conscious. So you have to pray that, people can see through the eyes of Christ. But we're commissioned, to let the children come and not let them suffer.
Yeah.
We're commissioned to be good Samaritans. We're commissioned to do our part for the kingdom of God. It's not enough just to bless your family. We're commissioned to change our neighborhood, our community, our city, our state, our country, and show people internationally this is who Christ is, and he works through us. So, it's been my experience. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I was a therapist. I knew I had a medical license, but starting Jars of Clay, I had no clue. And the Holy Spirit clearly helped me, clearly gave me wisdom, clearly gave me direction. God clearly brought beautiful people into my life to support the lives of the children that I have impacted. And so I think with people's time, talent, and treasure, their time is invaluable. I mean, everybody has a skill. Everybody knows how to do something. I was talking to one of the ladies at the pregnancy center yesterday, and I was telling her about the summer camp, and she says, "Oh my God, my husband teaches swimming lessons." And just like that, then now he's going to show children how to swim, and most kids don't know how to swim. Actually, most low-income and poor kids never have the luxury to learn how to swim. And we know drowning is very prevalent, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
So, your time, talent, and treasure is essential to share. And believe it or not, God gives reciprocal blessings. You just won't give. God's going to bless your socks off. One of my favorite scriptures, Ashlee, is Proverbs 19:17, and it says, when you give to the poor, you're actually lending to God, and God will pay you back. So it's amazing because God's going to open doors that you couldn't open. God's going to do something supernatural. You and I have gone through struggles with businesses and ministries and just family optics. And we know prayer works. God sees and he meets you where you are. So I do believe I have never met a person that didn't have something to offer. And they could always just sit and listen and give great wisdom.
Yeah.
So I just think it's important to be our brother and sister's keeper. And that's our testimony. That's our light. We're commissioned to let our light shine. And how do you do that if you're not talking to people? It was not even about money. It's about hugging people, encouraging people, spending time with people, listening to people, giving direction, sharing your skill with people. So maybe if that's their talent, they can learn from you, not trying to hold things so secretly so that you can be the biggest and the best, but showing others that it's possible. God opens doors for everybody.
Yeah.
He's faithful.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And like I've said, you're definitely, your walk is definitely inspiring. It reminds me that God shows up every time, and every time.
He does.
So,
he's faithful.
Yeah, I love that. Is, as we kind of come to a close, is there anything else that you feel like our listeners need to know, whether it's about Jars of Clay, whether it's about, pursuing their big dreams, whether it's, anything that's kind of on your heart that you'd want to share?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. Well, in the ministry that really takes so much of your time and your energy and your love and your prayer life. Today I had a conversation with a mother, a married family with 5 kids, 2 adopted, 2 biological, and their child is on the street. One of their children, adopted children, is on the street with mental health. And I had the opportunity to share with her, it's not a perfect family that makes a perfect kid. It's how the kid can deal with stresses and lives and bullies and different cultures and things that we can't hide from their eyes. So I just, I appreciate every parent that tries hard. I appreciate every parent that loves their children, because those are the types of parents that I'm looking forward to volunteer and love these kids, because every child, we all want to belong. We all want to connect. We all want to be loved. We all want to be valued. We all want to feel that we matter. So even families that look like they've got it all together, don't be shocked if one of your kids comes to Jars of Clay or a place like Jars of Clay. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
So I think a great way to keep Satan off of your doorstep is to sow. And when you sow, God has to protect. That's one of his promises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
Thank you.
I'm listening to this over and over again. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes. Well, this has been an absolute joy. Just picking your brain and just hearing firsthand. There's not many opportunities that you and I just get to sit and talk because we're usually wrangling the kiddos and all the things. And so this is just a treasure to me. Your time is, you're saving the world. And so to take, this time to share on our podcast is just, I don't take that lightly. And I just so appreciate you and what you're doing and just serving every chance you get. And it's incredible. And so, Hannah, do you have any final words or questions for Miss Anita?
No.
Just tell her she's awesome. Thank you for everything she does.
Hannah, we're making Play-Doh next week.
Ooh, they're making Play-Doh at camp next week.
Can I join it?
We'll need to figure out a time we can come over and join in.
We're building our own YouTube channel, so you're going to be so proud of us, Hannah. You're going to see all kids from all around building and making just strange things so that they can expand their minds. Well, I love you, Ashlee. I love Big O's. You guys absolutely are an example of letting your light shine and serving not only your family, not only your community, but others that are so far from you, like we are. So I appreciate you loving, the scripture is so powerful. But one of them says this, one man can plant, man can water, and God will certainly make it grow. So you just never know whose lives you're impacting. And I just want to thank you for the thousands of people that you and Andrew have impacted. So thank you for being a light for Christ here on earth. We need that.
Yeah,
we need that.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we knew you were fertile soil and it's a blessing to us. So yeah. Well, we will wrap up this podcast before we get timed out here. But yes, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your perspective, your wisdom. It's just it's so valuable. It's such a treasure. And like I said to everybody listening, we will definitely include all the links to all the things Jars of Clay and Anita are doing, whether it's this summer, whether it's year round. There's so many ways to get involved, to support, to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. And there's so many children and so many lives and generations and family lines at stake. And it like she said, it's the difference between life and death. And so, yes, it's no small feat, but together we can do a lot. And so we love that. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks again for listening, friend. We would love to hear what is really speaking to you in today's episode. It means so much to us, and we would love for you to take a screenshot of you listening to our podcast, share it on Instagram and Facebook. Definitely tag me in it so I can reshare it. Our kids especially really love hearing what you're getting out of our show, so it really means the world. Thanks again for joining us.